Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 2022 BC Men's Curling Championships from Kamloops, British Columbia. John Cullen here alongside four-time BC Scotties champion Melissa Saligo. And Melissa, we're going to be watching an opening round robin matchup between Team Sean Giel and Team Cameron Deyong. And Melissa, I'll throw it over to you. First game of the tournament. You're a high-performance coach, obviously a former high-performance athlete. What are some things that both of these teams are going to look to do here in their opening game of the tournament? I mean, aside from win, obviously.
Well, I think win is obviously important, John, and so good to be here with you again. It's going to be interesting. The format was originally supposed to be something different than it is. It is now a triple knockout, so teams are going to have to go after each other, pretty quickly here. They, obviously don't want to get that first loss because you're only allowed three. What's important though is to remember is that the teams were able to get on the ice last night for an hour, and then they had their pre-event practice this morning as well, and then of course their pre-game practice. So I think it's fair to say that both teams have had a really, really good look at the ice conditions so far.
Yeah, as you said, Melissa, that's kind of been the story of this BC provincial so far. It's been we're here, we're not here, we're on, we're off, we're on. But we are here. We're thrilled. Obviously, this is going to be a combined men's and ladies championships. The ladies get underway tomorrow, so we'll have a couple men's games today. And as you said, originally this event supposed to take place in an arena. We had to do a last-minute plan, move to the Kamloops Curling Club. So I think one thing we think about when we think about curling in a club is that there are sometimes, more things that you need to watch out for as opposed to an arena. Is that fair to say?
I think that's very fair to say. Obviously, with the curling clubs and, not the newest of probably technology or facilities, you have to just be careful. But the good thing is we've got our BC chief ice maker, Mike Merklinger, there managing the facility. He's been there for, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 days, probably making ice already. They've got the Crow BC rocks that they're using, and those are well taken care of by Mike himself. And so I'm expecting these to be almost perfect conditions and almost arena-like conditions for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, like you say, very experienced ice maker in Mike. Great rocks. I've curled at Kamloops Curling Club quite a few times myself, and even when Mike is not in charge of the ice, it's a club that's known for its great ice. They've hosted the Kamloops Crown of Curling for a number of years. The Sportsman's Bonspiel, obviously, also a big event for Kamloops, so they're no stranger to running big events there at the club. And so, yeah, I agree. I think the ice will be nice, and it'll be interesting to see if these teams are gonna get after it right away, or if we're going to see maybe a bit of a tentative start as the two teams sort of work their way into the tournament.
Well, John, both of both of us have seen these two teams play many, many times, and of course, you've played against them a number of times. And I think it's fair to say both Cameron and Sean love to have rocks in play. So I would be a little surprised if they went tentative the first end, but you know what? It is the start of a provincial championship, so nothing's gonna with what's going on in the world right now, nothing phases me anymore.
Yeah, I mean, really, this is, if they decide to blank the first end, worse things could happen in our lives, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
And it does seem like Cameron has called for the first rock in the house here, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. But as we say, this is the opening round of the BC Men's Provincial Curling Championships. We've got Cameron Deyong facing off against Sean Giel, and we'll meet the teams as we get underway here. Of course, Cameron Deyong curling out of the Victoria and Penticton curling clubs. John Slattery, you just saw throw the first rock. He's playing lead. Matt Tolley at second. Andrew Comlotti at third. And, of course, Cameron Deyong at skip. And over on the other side, we've got Sean Giel, who their team is from a wide number of clubs, Melissa. The Salmon Arm Curling Club, the Royal City Curling Club, and the Kelowna Curling Club. Sean Giel, of course, skipping. We see Andrew Bolesky playing lead. Steve Kopf at second, Brad Wood at third, and Sean holding the broom. And this is, as you said, Melissa, I've played these teams a lot before, but I have to say, never seen Andrew Bolesky throw lead before. So I'm a little bit excited for just to see how that all works out because, as I'm sure you're aware, a lifelong back-end player is Andrew, both at skip and third for most of his career.
Well, and I just want to make sure, John, you're not going to judge him, right? Like, because you being a lead yourself, I know you're a little bit hard on the leads out there.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm not super. I wouldn't say hard on them. I just, I know what it takes. I know what it takes to be a lead at the top level, or at least the level below it. I know how to do that. I know how to come in second. I'm very good at that. So if either of these teams are gunning for a silver, I feel like I have some expertise in that area. So we do have a little
Well,
bit of a tentative first end here, as these teams are just going to exchange hits, and I'm not super surprised by that. Probably too, Melissa, a factor. You know, you said the teams got on the ice last night, but probably haven't been on the ice a whole lot recently, right? Obviously, COVID concerns shut down a lot of clubs, and then over the holidays, a lot of clubs shut down as well. So it's possible we're seeing two teams that maybe haven't been on the ice all that much recently.
I think that's such a great point, John. Obviously, with the holidays and with the obvious COVID, but we've tried to, and that's one of the reasons that Curl BC and the Coast Committee have decided to give the players some ice last night, just to try and get back on there, get used to it, get sliding again, and those kinds of things. And you know, it's been tough. It's been a tough year, as we all know, but we were lucky to have curling for the majority part of this season. And so, you know, I think once both teams get comfortable, we'll start seeing the rocks and play that we expect.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. I think both of these teams will not be afraid to get into the game once they get there. That's for sure. And as you said, certainly it's been a challenge to get this event running. Curl BC done a phenomenal job doing everything under the orders of the provincial health officer, and of course safety paramount at this event. And that's part of the reason why it's being held in a curling club. There's no spectators, and it is something that we're lucky to be able to do in this province. One of the provincial health orders is that as long as the game that is being played is leading to a national or international competition, the tournaments are still allowed to be held. And so that's why this championship was not canceled, as originally feared that it might be. And so I'm sure the teams are just happy to be here, as are we.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. Well, we're not there, as you know, where you and I are both at home in the comfort of our own homes, but it is fantastic that we get to do this, that we get to watch every draw. And we'll be streaming pretty much, you know, as much as we can. We'll be Roll Focus, who's been done a fabulous job for Curl BC and for curling in this province under the direction of Mike Walker. They will be streaming every draw at 2 and 7, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and then pretty much every draw after that. So we're pretty excited to be here.
Yeah, it's going to be you and me on the call for virtually all of those games. So I look forward to that. And I also look forward to Andrew Kamloops looking good with the short hair. I think they might have gone for team haircuts before this game, Melissa, because I think this is the shortest I've seen Andrew's hair in the entire time I've ever known him.
You are very correct. Now, in fairness, he was growing his hair and his mustache for a good cause, and he ended up getting it cut, I believe, beginning of December, I think it was. And I keep reminding him that it does look fantastic short. So, you know, maybe keep it short. Just hint, hint.
Yeah, he's a good-looking guy. You know, it's like, why hide it? So we see Brad Wood here as these teams still exchanging hits. We saw Team Giel roll out earlier in the end, so there was maybe a thought that Deyong would throw up a guard, but has been content to keep the play inside the rings. Oh! No boards in between the sheets. Sometimes we see some rogue rocks rolling in from the other side. Right next door, we've got Josh Kennelly playing Jeff Richard. He's teamed up once again with Brent Pierce. That should be an interesting combination here. And we also have Paul Cheka and the Islanders up against Mitchell Kapitko and Dean Jonis playing Neil Dangerfield. So those are your games that are out on the sheets right now. And of course, this is a 12-team triple knockout. So 4 teams were granted the bye based on their finish in the standings, the CTRS standings for the year. So Tyler Tardy, the #1 seed for the event. Sebastian Robillard was #2, Jim Cotter #3, and Rob Nobert #4. So we'll see those 4 teams in action tonight, playing the winners of these 4 games. And the winner of our feature game will go on to play #1 seed Tyler Tardy. So when you know you've got a big contest like that coming up, it's, you know, you want to win early. You want to get as far ahead in the draw as you can. So both
Yeah,
these
looking
teams will be
forward to all
searching
this
for
great
that.
action. That's for sure. I think they're playing the freeze here, just trying to make it a little bit more difficult on Deyong's team to remove that red stone, but didn't quite get to the face of it. Pretty darn good, though.
Yeah, nice shot from Brad. If you're Deyong, would you ever consider freezing here, Melissa?
Based on what he's been calling so far this end, I think he would just peel this one out, and he's probably actually looking to remove the red stone that's behind it as well. If he can remove all 3 stones, just keep it clean. He, by virtue of their last stone draw, they got hammer for this first end, so he's looking to retain that hammer for second end.
So we get our first look at Cam Deyong here, and our graphic is not correct. Deyong is without hammer here, so this is the
you're right.
first skip
You're
stone
right.
of the first end. Yep. Giel has hammer here by virtue of their last stone draw. No problem. It's the first game of the week, you know. We're working out the kinks.
Nice shot.
And Melissa, these teams are using the new draw to the button system where teams are throwing 2 rocks. Normally we're used to 1 rock being thrown to the pin and then whichever one is closer getting hammer, but these teams are throwing 2 rocks before the game. So it's a combined total of those 2 rocks, and Sean Giel had a really nice start with his, getting both of them in the button. Didn't pin either one of them, but they were both in the button area, and Deyong was not that. Oh, that's putting it kindly. So here we go. First stone for Sean Giel here. 3-time BC champ is Sean. He'll hit and roll onto the ring. So Deyong just needs to make this go away, and we'll be on a one-way ticket to Blanksville here.
Not wasting any time. Cam just in the hack, ready to go.
Yeah, obviously a good idea to bank time early if you can. So when you know you've got an easy shot, it's always a good idea to be lined up and ready to go in the hack, and Deyong makes no mistake. So it'll be Giel looking for a blank here in the first end. A pretty cautious start from both teams here in the opening draw of the BC Men's Provincial Championships. Trying to make this one curl. And they make it. Sorry, the angle screwed me up there. It was Andrew Bolesky holding that rock straight, but they do make the blank. So a cautious first end from both teams puts 2 zeros up on the board. You're watching the BC Men's Provincial Curling Championship live from Kamloops, BC. So the team's wasting no time here. Second end already underway. And it looks like we're once again seeing Deyong call the first rock in the house, so we'll see if Sean Giel is satisfied to blank another.
I would expect Sean probably to throw up a corner guard here, but as I said before, things do surprise me, so there we go. I'm very curious. You know, we've talked about it. I'm interested interested that Team Deyong did put that first one in the rings. I was really expecting them to maybe come up short. I think they're just
Well,
feeling
as
each
we
other
said
out
earlier,
and just
Melissa.
trying to
Yeah,
decide.
exactly.
Yeah.
Sorry. We both were going to say the same thing. Just two teams looking to maybe get their feet underneath them here. And sometimes, you know, you start out the end that way and you don't necessarily have a willing dance partner, but obviously both teams happy to keep it clean here. Just gives us more time to talk about them. That's all.
That's right.
So both teams have had I think a year that they would want to improve on. Both teams in this game with a losing record, although both have had some decent results this year. Of course, the best result for Team Deyong, they lost the final of the Kelowna Cash all the way back in November, and they lost that final to Yuta Matsumura of Japan. So never really feel too bad if you're losing to one of the top teams in the world in a final. And Sean Giel, they've played a pretty easy schedule this year. They've only played in 3 tournaments in Penticton, Kamloops, and Salmon Arm. And they have yet to qualify. So they'll be looking to turn that around here in BC. Of course, as we know, Sean, Andrew, and Steve, all provincial Brier champions, and Brad as well as a 5th. So they'll all be looking to get back there. But this is a bit more of a casual team, as you can probably tell by the margarita glasses that are on the back of their jackets.
I was waiting for you to say that.
Well, it's usually an indication of maybe the priorities sometimes. But there's at least a curling broom in the margarita glass. So
fair enough.
Yeah. No, just I know I was talking to Sean in Penticton, and you know, he's 45 years old. He feels his career's winding down a little bit, and so he was just looking to play with some guys he knows well and has been friends with for a while, and just to be on tour and enjoy the game of curling. And so that's been more their focus this year rather than you know, spieling as hard as some of the other teams that we've seen in this event.
Yeah, most teams,
But
John,
is,
and you know, as we know, be based on the fact that we didn't have a tour last year. There's some teams that almost toured every weekend or every second weekend, and then you've got teams like Sean that decided to just, you know, pace themselves and, you know, do a few here and there, and that's okay too, right? It just all depends on what your team desire is or your team's plan is.
For sure, and I mean, I think obviously the big C word is a big factor too. COVID, of course, maybe forcing some teams to have different plans than others, or than they may have had even at the start of the season. I know it's always, you know, when you live in BC and you know, you want to curl in the best tournaments, you usually have to leave BC in order to do that. And I think, you know, not everybody at this point in time is the most comfortable getting on a plane or being outside of their sort of home area. And so I think that'll be the story for some of the teams in the field this week for sure. And honestly, Melissa, with the establishment of the BC Tour over the last couple of years, it's actually allowed for teams to get pretty good competition without having to leave the province, which was not something we had for a long time.
I fully agree, and you know, I hope that the tour just continues to grow and brings more and more teams and competition into our province. And I agree, it's just been fantastic to see the level of competition that we do have. Did we just get a corner guard? I might have blanked out for a second.
We did. We got a corner guard, yeah.
Oh, never mind. It's gone.
It's gone, yeah. And they rolled into the house perfectly. Nice shot from Andrew Kamloops there. So the blank still firmly in play here after that corner guard was removed by Team Deyong. We apologize
This
for
is
the late
Brad.
start here as well. Oh, yeah, Brad Wood, yeah.
Yep.
The practices were a little delayed this morning as the ice makers continued to work on the ice to get it up to snuff. So that's why we were a little bit late getting going today, but should be back on schedule now for the rest of the weekend. Unlike Ja Rule and Ashanti, Melissa, we're not always on time here in BC.
Well, speak for yourself, John. I'm always on time.
Yeah, that's fair. It's rare for someone who lives in Victoria. You don't subscribe to island time.
It is pretty chill over here, not gonna lie.
So another open hit here for Brad Wood. So another open hit here for Cam Deyong. One of the men responsible for one of my BC silver medals. Defeating me, he defeated me in the BC mixed final in 2020. Not that I'm, or 2019, I should say. Not that I'm bitter about that or anything. And he'll hit and stick, no mistake. So first stone here for Sean Giel in the second, just looking for a hit and stick here. And he will roll out. So Cameron Deyong will just look to put this somewhere in the house.
This is a good opportunity for Cam to get his draw weight.
Yeah, you always love these as a skip. Just a free chance at seeing what the draw to the button is doing and if it's changed any from practice.
You have to believe too, John, once you feel like you've got the draw weight, we played these first two ends open, but once you feel you have that draw weight dialed in, you'll probably feel a little bit more confident moving forward and trying to get rocks in play. And you can tell by me trying to urge them to do that in the next end. Did I say that? Yeah.
Yeah, and if they were waiting to get draw weight to make the game more exciting, then we might be waiting another end as Cameron Deyong slips a little heavy there. So final stone here for Sean Giel in the second, looking for a second consecutive blank end. And once again, Andrew Bolesky on it right away. But it will get out of the house, no problem. And so we've got 4 zeros up on the board through the first two ends. It's 0-0 here at the opening draw of the BC Men's Provincial Championships live from Kamloops, British Columbia. So we're back here with third end coverage of the opening draw at the BC Men's Curling Championships between Cameron Deyong and Sean Giel, and we've already seen 2 straight blanks, and it looks like we're heading for a third as Deyong puts the first rock in the house, and Giel is once again going to hit it. Are you a little surprised by this, Melissa?
I couldn't be any more surprised, to be honest, John. I mean, like I said, we know these teams. We know that they've played on arena ice conditions numerous times. They played against each other probably a ton of times. I'm not really sure this. I mean, they've always had, obviously both teams have had their own discussions and decided how they want to come out and play, but this is very, very, very surprising to me.
Yeah, I'm certainly a little surprised. I mean, you even said in the pregame, these are 2 teams that typically like to get rocks in play. So it's a little surprising to see that they both seem pretty content to keep blanking here. Well, what do you want to talk about, Melissa?
Well, let's talk about the host committee and all the work that they've done under the leadership of Brenda Norden and Linda Bolton. They've done such a great job here, and let's talk about things like that.
Okay, great. Yeah, they did a great job. They're doing a great job. Obviously, as we said off the top, a very challenging situation for the organizing committee. Usually you don't have to schedule and then reschedule your provincial championships about 2 weeks before they're supposed to happen. So tremendous job done by them. And of course, a lot of sponsors to thank that help make this all possible as well. Our provincial sponsors, of course, are Kruger Products and Scotty's, Best Western, Bel Air Direct Insurance, AMJ Campbell, Great Western Brewing, Connect Hearing, and Jet Ice. And then we have a whole host of local Kamloops sponsors too that I'll thank over the course of the week as we get into this here. And maybe if this one gets through the house, we might see Sean Giel throw up a guard, but it does not.
So, John, how was your holidays?
Oh, well, it was pretty good. Yeah, it was nice.
Good.
Just pretty low key. Hung out with my parents and my nephews and kept our bubble pretty small. And yeah, it was nice. I saw you went home to trail.
I did. I got to hang out with my mom and my sister, which was awesome. I haven't been to trail and had that snowy of a Christmas in a very, very long time, and believe me, there was a lot of snow, so that was fun.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I mean, it's nice to have snow here. It's actually snowing very hard right now in Vancouver as I am commentating this game.
Wow.
So yeah, it doesn't seem to relent. And now once again we get a corner guard, but it's too little too late here, since Deyong could just peel it if they so desire. But Steve Kopf will attempt to put it up and maybe hope for a miss from Deyong so that they can perhaps get a deuce starting.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Cam decides to do here.
I mean, based on what we've seen so far, I'm guessing he's going to peel it.
You betcha.
Yeah, I mean, Deyong without hammer, this does seem like a bit of a game plan here. Obviously, they've thrown their first rock into the house all 3 ends, and of course, Sean Giel doesn't have to hit it either. He could decide to throw a guard, but it seems fairly clear that this was a plan coming into this game from Deyong.
There's our first miss of the game. So So great opportunity here now for Sean Giel to draw around that corner guard.
Seems like he wasn't sure for
He
a second,
wasn't. He
but it's
really
like you
wasn't.
threw the corner guard. You threw the
That's
corner
right.
guard. This is exactly what you hope for if you throw the corner guard, is it not?
I think so, but I feel like he was actually going to draw to the open side for a minute there. So
No.
here we go. Brad Wood trying to get a rock fully buried behind that blue corner guard. Ice conditions once again look fabulous. It's running about, I think, 14 and a half, 15 seconds from what I understand. And you can see the nice gradual curl.
And that looks like it may have fully slid out the back. Well, at least he didn't peel his own, Melissa.
That is a win.
I had a feeling the way we were going. Yeah, I had a feeling the way we were going here, that might be what we saw. But an opportunity here for Andrew Komladi. If he can make the same shot Brad Wood was attempting, then might be an opportunity for Deyong to force here.
Just a heavy clean there by John Slattery, so the weight must be pretty close. Looks like they're maybe going to the back one. Nice shot.
So, yeah, that'll work. Obviously, they would have preferred that maybe a little bit higher, but still not bad, and it'll force the play around the corner. This will be a decent opportunity here for Brad Wood if he can lighten his load a little bit here and put it ahead of this blue one.
Line is great if they can get it
Both
there for the
sweepers on it,
weight.
yeah. And it looks like it came just a little short.
Sorry, John, I jumped in because I was just so excited that we have 4 rocks in play.
Don't worry. Yeah, no, no problem. It is exciting. So we'll see what Deyong decides here. They are the shot stone. So what's the debate here, Melissa? Because it would seem pretty obvious to me that you'd come around the guard, but is there a reason you'd maybe be tempted to draw open side and lie to?
I would think that Cam's game plan here is obviously to force Team Giel to have to take a single here in this end. So you could throw it back 8 to the open side, and therefore, you know, and lie to, and therefore you're kind of you're making sure the force is on. This is a little bit, maybe a little bit more difficult. He doesn't want to set up a double here, obviously, but he just saw this line, he just saw this shot, and if you put another one in half buried behind that redstone just thrown by Team Giel, then you're in good shape.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is the right call too. The only thing you don't want to do here is leave this one open at all. Might set up a double for Giel, but here we go. Cameron Deyong's first in the third end, already lying one, looking to put the squeeze on Sean Giel. Sweepers are on it early. This looks like it might be light and tight.
And being light here, John, probably is, you know, the tolerance. Provides that nice stagger there, provides protection for that one in the back of the 8-foot. But it does allow Team Giel now to freeze.
Yeah, exactly. The only issue with this now is, yes, the stagger protects your own, but if Sean were able to get one buried behind you, you almost have no way of getting it out.
That is correct, yes. It probably would have rather be almost bounced off it a little bit, and that's maybe the reason that they were debating whether to go to the open side or not, just to keep it a little bit more simple. But great chance here for Sean Giel now to get one in behind there.
As you can probably tell, we do not have the players mic'd up for these games, so Melissa and I doing our best to sort of fill in what we imagine that they're talking about. And so here we go. Sean Giel has a bit of an opportunity here with the hammer if he can get one buried. This one is sailing.
Looks like it's got some legs. Yep.
Will it slow down? It will not. So back-to-back misses from both skips, and Cameron Deyong still lying one without hammer.
And I honestly think right now, John, if I was Cameron with his last stone, I would go back 8 to the open side. The last thing you want to do is set up any potential double, because if you do and there's a chance to play the double and stick, you're giving up 3 out of nowhere. So why not just play back 8 right there, right where his broom is?
Yeah, I guess the concern there, Melissa, is you wouldn't want to set up the double the other way either, right? Because you could obviously, if you come to the left side of the sheet as we're looking at it, you could set up the slash double. But if you come back 8 and you're a little short, you set up the cross house double. So it's really, I guess, what you think is a better, maybe a more difficult shot for Sean to make if he were to take the double on. Looks like they've settled on kind of drawing the top 4 or top 8 in the middle of the ice here. I don't mind this. It makes Sean's draw a little tougher, and if he tries the double on, it might leave a jam. You might jam it and give up 2.
Yeah, I would think they were just maybe half 8, full 8 center line.
Definitely want to make sure you're sitting 2 here.
John Slattery and Matt Tolley working hard to try and get this one on to bite the 8-foot.
That comes short. So I don't know if there's an opportunity here for Sean to, maybe make that. I don't know that that's for 2 though.
I think they're talking that redstone, if we see the overhead again, I think the redstone really only has to move about, what, 2-3 inches, but this is very difficult the way they're playing this angle. They're actually going to push that red one out more towards the 12-foot, so I'm not sure you can angle it well enough that you could get 2 out of this. I'm not sure at all, but most importantly, if they do play it and roll into the house, they'll get their single point.
So tricky shot here for Sean Giel. Not sure if it's there for 2, but we'll see in a second. Facing 1 from Cameron Deyong. Sweepers like the weight. And I think he's got 1 for sure. It's really close. I don't know that you could have made it any better than that.
I don't think so either.
Perfect weight. As you said, Melissa, that red was going away from the middle, so to get it to maybe spin in for 2 would be really impressive. Let's take a look here. I might have to put a stick on this.
I think it's still blue just from our angle, but I'm not. They're going to measure. What a difficult shot to try and get 2, and I think the important thing there, he was maybe unsure of drawing the same way that Deyong did and come towards the center, because the last thing you would want to do is obviously raise your opposition in. So that was a great call, great shot by Giel, and as you said, John, made it pretty much as perfect as he could.
Yeah, I think you throw any more weight, it pushes that red too far into the 12-foot. And if you hit any more of the blue one, it pushes the red too far into the 12-foot. So, yeah, I think this is almost as good as he could have done. And our overhead camera's a little behind the house, so it looks like blue on the overhead, but the angle can be deceiving. So the official will come out to do the measuring. I always loved being in provincials, because then you could get the official to do the measuring for you. You didn't have to do it yourself.
I agree.
And that looks like blue, but not by much. We might be going again.
They're going
here.
around again.
Well, we wanted excitement, Melissa. I think we got it.
You bet. You bet. The officials just asked the thirds to stay out of the house if they don't have their masks on, so that's why you see Andrew Kamloops just putting his mask on so he can get a closer look at the measuring stick, blocking our view.
Yeah, geez, Brad.
Wow, it must be very close.
Yeah, I think it's super close.
All right. Is it?
Andrew indicated it was 2, so
he did.
Yeah, Steve Kopp raises the broom. Wow, what an incredible
shot
from Sean
what
Giel.
A shot!
Reaching into the old bag of tricks, makes a perfect little chip off to roll in for 2, and what looked like it was going to be another blank end puts 2 on the board for Sean Giel after a fantastic shot. We'll be back with live coverage of the BC Men's Curling Championship right after this. So we're back here with live 4th end coverage of the opening draw of the BC Men's Provincial Curling Championship. Sean Giel facing off against Cameron Deyong. And Melissa, I don't want to jinx it for us, but we might have just seen what could end up being the shot of the week right there.
That was incredible. I mean, that was such a difficult shot, but Sean just made it perfect. And, you know, to have to go around twice, that showed how close it was, but to put 2 on the board when we thought we were actually going to get a blank this end. So that's a terrific shot by Sean Giel. And now we're going to see some rocks in play, I think, here.
Yeah, I mean, I know that, you know, when we think of like shots of the week, we're often thinking of, triples and run backs and loud noises, but those delicate shots, I mean, Sean almost had, he had to hit the rock exactly where he hit it. He had to throw exactly the weight he threw to make it. And like you said, he makes it by what appeared to be about 1/10 of an inch. And those shots are just so difficult to make. So yeah, just a phenomenal shot from Sean Giel. And like I said, showing why he's a 3-time provincial champion there. They've maybe playing a little bit of a lighter schedule this year, but he's shown he still has a few tricks up those sleeves, does that old Sean Giel.
No kidding. That was absolutely incredible.
So we're going to get some rocks in play here as Deyong tries to get that 2 back. And Melissa, obviously this is not only a great shot for Giel to put 2 on the board, but a bit of a deflator for Deyong too, right? I mean, they had multiple chances in that end to force Giel to 1 after what looked to be like a third blank in a row. You know, it's sometimes tough to bounce back from that.
I agree, John. That's such a good point. And you know, you go back and you think about that last shot of Cam's where they were just, I shouldn't say just, they were throwing one to the top 8, and the sweepers were cleaning it most of the way, and then got on at kind of the last half. But it comes up about 6-8 inches short, which made the big difference and gave Sean that opportunity to make that incredible shot. So, yes, I think Cam had 3 or 4 chances there to try and sit 2, and just couldn't do it.
So a few more rocks in play here. John Slattery coming a little deep on that come around, but still not in a bad spot, as it's the shot stone that Steve Kopf will now chase. As we said, this is one of 4 opening triple knockout games here at the Provincials. I can update you on some other scores. After 3 ends, Paul Cheka and the Islanders are up 4-2 on Mitchell Kapitko. Kapitko does have the hammer there, playing the 4th end. Josh Kennelly and Jeff Richard locked in a battle. They're 2-1. Jeff Richard is leading, playing the 3rd end. And Dean Jonice, my old skip, playing Neil Dangerfield. Jonice out to a 2-0 lead. And that was a steal of 2. So good start for Jonice's team.
So we've had our first miss here, John, in this end by Team Giel. They were trying to come down and tap that blue stone of Team Deyong's, and it didn't curl, and it went right by. So this is a great opportunity for Deyong now to get 2 rocks in behind that center guard.
Got 2 rocks perfectly buried. Nice shot from Matt Tolley there. And they're electing to run it back. Steve Kopf loves to throw big weight shots, and he's quite good at it. So we'll see what he can do here. And he'll get 1, so yeah, not a bad shot at all from Steve. But another opportunity here for Matt Tolley to replace that one, and the red guard's a little higher now, so won't be as easy if Brad Wood has to run it back on his first.
And you have to be, I think, by virtue of where that red stone is, even if the first blue stone that's in the back of the 4, if that were up higher, like above the tee line, you would think that Team Deyong would look to go behind the corner guard. But I think because of the position of that red guard, it is very, very difficult to navigate that port, just because of the amount of curl on the ice.
Yeah, we've definitely seen quite a bit of curl here so far. We haven't seen a ton of draws yet this game, but the ones we have seen have curled quite nicely. So I think you're bang on there, Melissa. So now this is the original call that Steve had on his last one before they elected to run. Just a little board weight hit and flop here for Brad Wood. This is a key shot here, facing 2.
Nice
That's
shot.
a nice touch
well
from Brad
done.
Wood. Very nice. So Deyong will ignore that, but certainly, Melissa, getting to the point now where you don't want to not be second shot if you're Deyong, because in very short order, Giel could be sitting 3 with 1 buried. So this has to be pretty precise from Andrew Kamloops.
So Andrew and Matt having just a discussion here as to, you know, obviously they've seen this line a number of times, and the key here for Andrew is to ensure he's second shot, number one, but number two is that he's above the tee line.
Yeah, obviously Matt making both of his draws pretty much perfectly, so Andrew leaning on him. Say, okay, what did you think you threw for those last two? Because those were in a pretty good spot. We see Tolley and Slattery on this. Pretty hard. Like we said, they got to get it there for second shot, and they won't.
Oh boy.
So that's a big miss.
That is a big miss, and that's exactly what Sean's going to do. He's going to play the freeze, the out-turn freeze now to that one that's sitting back 4.
And again, it's the stagger for Deyong that could cause some problems here. We see that center guard and the blue one just thrown just off center. Make it really hard for Deyong to get at this stone if Brad Wood can make this freeze. Sean calling them on it hard. This is flirting with the guard here. And it will be on that guard. Looked a little light, Melissa, and so an opportunity here now for Deyong again. As we go back and forth here.
These are the situations, John, where you always say if your team or your opposition, pardon me, has given you a little bit of an opening, you want to take advantage of it. And unfortunately for Brad Wood, I think you're right. He was just maybe 5 feet short on weight, and therefore it overcurled and just ticked the guard. So now back in the corner of Andrew Kamloops here to try and make a perfect one. If you can ever get one half buried, even 3/4 buried, put his team in good shape here heading into skip stones. But they're working hard on this one too. Gotta go for weight.
And they come up short once again. So some big misses early from Team Deyong here. Had an opportunity last end to force Giel and weren't able to do so, and have had a couple opportunities here to lie to and look nice, and haven't made either of those. So big shot here for Sean Giel. Hopefully he can tap into that reserve he hit on last end. If he can get this one on top of that blue, it's going to be really difficult for Deyong to get rid of it.
And the way the ice curls here, you want to ensure that you stay out as wide as possible for as long as possible. Pretty much at the hog line, it'll start making its break, and once it starts to curl, it's going to really, really curl. So it's important here now for the sweepers to manage the stone, try and keep it outside of that line as long as possible, as long as the weight looks good. And that's what you'll see here as Steve is managing this stone. Now you'll see it make its break. What a shot.
Gotta get it there.
Shot rock. Oh.
And get a little broom bang from Steve Kopf there. I think he maybe massaged it a little too long. As you said, he was in control most of the way down, but just maybe misread the weight a little bit. Although Melissa, just maybe this is the benefit of being on commentary, but it has seemed to me like the rocks are actually stopping quite quickly. I don't know if you've noticed that as well, but it does seem as they make their sort of final break in the house, they're stopping a little short of where the teams think they're going to end up.
I agree 100%. I was just noticed, especially on that one, like it looked like it had some weight. So it's almost like it's not carrying once it hits the curl, or carrying once it hits the rings. So we'll keep an eye on that. And I mean, a good shot if you want to force your opposition, because this is no easy feat here, what Cam's about to do to try and navigate that port and get into the 4-foot.
So another opportunity here for Deyong. Has a chance to get in there for second shot, and as we said on Giel's, if he can get in there for second shot, it's going to be pretty hard for Sean to get rid of it. So big shot here. Deyong's first with the hammer here in the 4th.
I'm going to attempt to do hog to hog here, but I don't know if I'll have any luck here, John.
Yeah, it's a little tricky.
We'll see how the cameraman helped me out here.
Slattery on it for line. Now Tolly joining in for weight. This one looks like it might be short too. Wow. So that one also a little short, and further to your point on Giel's last one, that one just caught the break a little early. And Tolly and Slattery not able to save it, so once again, a missed opportunity for Cameron Deyong. That's been the story of the game for them so far, and Sean Giel's going to have a chance to push this red up, and if he does that and creates a nice angle on the Deyong blue, it's going to be very difficult for Cam to score.
I would agree. I think Sean throws the exact same shot, maybe 2 feet more at most. Like the sweepers, depending on how much they put into it, but if they could probably even take it that extra couple of feet. But you'll see Steve here, he'll manage a stone, trying to keep it out there. They know this line, and as long as it's got the weight.
Yeah, they don't need to move it far. Line is perfect. Sure. Yeah.
What a shot by Sean Giel.
Fantastic shot from Sean Giel. Punishing the Deyong mistake once again, and it is Giel lying one without hammer. And now Cameron Deyong is going to have a real tough time getting rid of this one.
I think the only potential he has is the one that Andrew's about to tap there, but can you hit it? I think you can. There might be enough room on the outside of that blue stone to hit it, but you got to be super careful, because there are some other red stones hanging around the rings.
Yeah, I think the major thing here is you can't play peel at it, because if you play peel and you come across the top of that red one, you're potentially giving up 3 or 4. So, although maybe I'm wrong, because based on where they're putting the broom, that does look like what they're playing.
It sure does.
It certainly carries a lot of risk here. So I guess they're just trying to pick this red off the top here to make that one blue count. And you just have to hope that you don't get rid of that back blue, or you're giving up a big steal here. So risky call here for Cameron Deyong. We'll see if it pays off. Final stone, 4th end, needs a run back to score 1. It's not playing a ton of weight at it.
Oh, and what a
that'll
shot.
Work out. Very nice shot from Cameron Deyong. Plays the right weight to make that blue stick around. So after a few missed opportunities, Cameron Deyong is able to put 1 on the board, but it will be Giel up 1 with hammer. We'll be back live from Kamloops, British Columbia. You're watching the BC Men's Curling Championships on YouTube. So welcome back to continuing coverage of the BC Men's Provincial Curling Championship. This is the opening draw. John Cullen alongside Melissa Saligo, as we're watching this opening round game between Cameron Deyong and Sean Giel. And Melissa, we've seen two great last stones from skips that are responsible for all the points that are on the board so far. Cameron Deyong making a very nice one to finish off that fourth end.
I totally agree, and that was not easy, John. Like, he put the broom right down in the middle of the stone, and he threw the clockwise or the intern rock, and they just held it enough and threw just enough weight that the rock that he ran in was able to roll and stay as the shot rock. And as you and I mentioned, with those other red counters, he had to be very, very careful not to give up a big end.
Yeah, certainly a lot of risk involved there. And especially, you never want to be taking on that much risk when it's only for one. That's always the worry is, if you take on a lot of risk and you're shooting for 3 or 4, well, okay, fine. But when you're taking all that risk just to get one, that's always a bit of a stressful situation. But Deyong managed it nicely and made a really good shot.
Yeah,
So
it
we
was
see
a
a
great
high guard
weight
from
choice.
John Slattery. Yes, yeah, great weight choice for sure. We'll eventually figure out our rhythm, Melissa. We can't see each other, so it's not ideal for not stepping on each other's toes when we're trying to talk about the game. We'll figure it out. We'll get there. We've got like 12 draws to figure it out.
That's right.
I can tell you, Melissa, that Andrew's wife, Kirby, is in the chat. And she says thank you for saying that Andrew looks better with short hair, and she'll be sending you the e-transfer shortly.
That's perfect. I do see that
I don't know how
his
you got all the
mustache
cash.
back.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's one step at a time, probably.
I agree. I mean, Kirby can only do so much, right? So this is what
I'm just
we were
a little bit
expecting, John.
disappointed that I'm not getting a cut. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
Hey, hey. That's the takeoff line. We'll talk about that later. Getting your cut.
Okay.
Don't worry. I know you set me up for that,
Okay,
so
good.
we're all good. We're all
well,
good.
I was the one who was saying how handsome he was. I mean, I'm just sort of.
That's true. You were. I didn't say handsome. It didn't come out of this mouth.
And you want to be very clear about that. But yes, I agree. This is the type of game we were expecting from these two teams. A lot more rocks in play here.
So the double center guard thrown by Cam to start this end, and not quite setting up with those two Geall stones that have been able to line up in a pretty good way. So now, just with that one blue stone in the rings, is Matt Tolley here trying to play a bit of a tap, trying to keep both rocks in a reasonable position. And they don't have hammer here in this fifth end. This one has a lot of curling to do, I think. Wow.
Yeah, it looks a little heavy, and Andrew's already abandoned ship. We could see him sliding through the frame there, just like this Matt Tolley rock slides to the back 12-foot. And so now it'll be a bit of a decision here for Giel, because he peeled on his last one. Looked like he was trying to maybe keep it open a little bit, but this is a nice opportunity to potentially lie a couple here.
Yeah, I fully agree. You're not going to get a lot of opportunities like this with hammer to lie 2 or 3 behind a guard. So Steve Koff just double checking what kind of weight to throw here. Would love to get the hit and roll behind that long guard.
Yeah, the roll here is key. Well, he won't get that, but he will miss the one in the house. And so now all of a sudden we've got red sitting 1-3-4. That's a bit of a precarious scenario if you're Cam Deyong without the hammer.
Yeah, and I think it might be bail time, as you can see Cam indicating, trying to make this angle double here at least. Trying to limit the damage here so far on third stones. Or sorry, we're on second stones.
No, we're on third stones.
No, we're on third stones. We're on third stones, sorry.
Sorry, this is draw one. You know, we're working our way in. Like I said, by Friday we are just going to be unbelievable.
I agree.
So Andrew Kamloops looking for the double here, and he will get it.
What a shot.
Yeah, big shot there. Had to have that one. As you can see next door, Dean Jonis has jumped out to a 5-2 lead over Neil Dangerfield, and Jonis has the hammer up 3. So a good start for my old skipper.
Brad Wood with his first one here in 5, trying to come through those 2 rocks. He'd like to bite the top 4 perhaps. Trying to get it buried a little bit more.
And he will. Nice touch.
Look at that. Nice shot.
Very nice shot there from Brad Wood. And so this is a huge shot for Andrew Kamloops. Needs to make a freeze here.
We saw in N4 John Andrew coming up light on both of his stones, so needs to make a bit of an adjustment here. Doesn't have a lot of eyesight on that red stone. You can maybe see about an inch. That's what he's trying to freeze to.
And they just don't get the line right, and this is some trouble here.
Not sure. I'm not sure why they didn't switch earlier, and you can see the front end players having a conversation there. It needed to curl, obviously, and Matt was the one that was sweeping closest to the rock on that last one. Maybe more for weight.
So a big opportunity here for Brad Wood. Can really put the screws to Cam Deyong here with the hammer. Would love a little roll here, and they get it.
Nice shot
so
by
again,
Brad Wood.
Yeah, great shot. And again, it's Giel sitting 1-3-4. That lonely blue at the back of the house. Saving Deyong, but it's going to be hard for them not to give up 2 here.
Saw Cam indicate just the nosing the blue stone and just removing that one red stone. I'm not sure how much that does for you. This is kind of what I was thinking right now. Could he ever hit half of that blue stone on the center line side and maybe try and double them? I'm not sure the one that's behind the blue will go all the way though. It may just push it back. There's about an inch or 2 space, I believe.
Yeah, this is one of those, we call these no joy situations where even if you make a shot great, you're still sort of left wondering exactly how good a shape you're going to be in once it's over. So it looks like Cam's trying an angle hit here, trying to get rid of one of the reds, possibly both of them. Certainly at least trying to kick the one red out of the 12-foot, if he can. So big shot here. try to limit the damage. Cameron Deyong's first here in the 5th without hammer. Giel sitting 1.
Might be trying to hit it on the outside here to kind of push it. That's pretty
exactly.
good.
Didn't quite get there. Yeah, it's not bad. They were trying to maybe kick that red one out of the house, but yeah, not in a bad spot there for Deyong. At least gives them the opportunity to maybe run it back later if they needed to.
I think that's really good. If you have a look at it there, John, it's kind of the two blues edge to edge. If Sean were ever to take that blue one on and that sitting top 12, you have to be very, very careful not to jam it on the red one that's in the 4-foot. So I actually think it ended up in a really great spot. Second shot. Or third, I guess. I see the one at the back there. You can see Sean and Brad having a conversation with Steve. That blue guard is so high, they could come with the in-turn and get by that guard with plenty of room and with a little bit of weight and just tap that red stone in. And I think that's what they're playing.
So here we go. First stone for Sean Giel. Sweepers are on it, trying to get it there. Got to get by that guard.
Bit light.
Ooh.
Just a tiny bit light.
Not quite for Sean Giel. But on the same token, I don't really know. Takes away the raise, is what you were going to say.
Yeah, I was going to wait for you to finish it for me.
Oh, all I was going to say was that it's still tough for Deyong to get at that stone.
For sure. Yeah, I think he's actually.
So even though it's a miss from Giel, it's a good. It's still 2 is still in play here if Deyong doesn't make a good one here.
That's right, and he has no choice right now but to play the come around those 2 red stones and try and get a piece of the button.
So here we go. Final stone for Cameron Deyong. Facing 1, down 1. Needs to make a pretty precise draw here.
You can hear them saying it's all there for weight. It's just a matter of line now. Oh, it looks like it's got quite a bit there, John.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little heavy, and not only is it a little heavy, but it's going to give Sean a pretty nice target here, as he'll look to just follow the same path Deyong just took, and he'll have the option of straight drawing or using that blue one as backing to get his 2 here. Well played end by Sean Giel. So here we go, final stone, Sean Giel. Sweepers are all over it. They need 2.
These are one of those situations, John, where your tolerance can be a little on the heavier side just simply because you do have that backing. And this looks really, really good. Gotta go for
Can they
weight
get it
though.
there? Can they get it
Oh, what a
there? And they
brush.
do. Fantastic sweeping from Steve Kopf and Andrew Bolesky. Getting rid of some of that Christmas turkey right there. Phenomenal sweeping, and that'll put 2 on the board for Sean Giel. They'll take a 4-1 lead into the 6th end. We're going to take a break. We'll be back in a few minutes with a few thoughts before the 6th end. You're watching the BC Men's Provincial Curling Championships live on Curl BC's YouTube channel. I'm good, Melissa. Mike, sorry. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the fifth end break here at the BC Men's Curling Championships. John Cullen alongside Melissa Saligo. And Melissa, Sean Giel up 4-1, and we have to say they're pretty much full value for it so far.
Absolutely. It's been great. They've been playing really well. And if you ever have to plan a game out, John, it's get to force one. Get to force one, and that's exactly what Sean Geall has done thus far.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously makes the fantastic shot in obviously the sorry, our producer was talking in my ear, and I'm not good at doing two things at one time. I gotta learn. I'll get better. I'll get better. But yes, no, it's not your bad. You're doing a great job, Mike. Okay, so yeah, so Sean Giel obviously makes that fantastic shot in the third, and as I said, going into the fourth end, I wondered how that would affect momentum. But then Deyong had chances in the fourth end to put a two back on the board, just didn't quite capitalize. And now that Sean's really played a perfect end in the fifth to set up those two, you got to think that the momentum is really with them in the second half of the game.
I would fully agree with Team Giel, and you go back to that fourth end, it could have been a disaster for Team Deyong because Cam did have to make a very, very difficult shot to get his single. At first, I thought he was just maybe trying to prevent them from getting more than one or stealing more than one, but he made an amazing shot, got his single, but then Team Giel pretty much dominating the fifth end and taking that 4-1 lead.
Yeah, it's been the story of some key misses here, obviously, for Team Deyong. They've just not quite been able to get the end set up in the way that they wanted to, and thus far, Sean Giel's made them pay. And speaking of not getting the end set up, John Slattery sliding into the house here. So that's a mistake here from Deyong in the sixth, and maybe the pain continues a little bit. I know as a lead, obviously playing lead for such a long time, you always have to sort of keep in mind that um, that when you come back from the break, often the ice is just a little bit quicker. They usually do, as you can see, the big broom there on the Kennelly Richard game. They usually do a scrub with that big chamois in. When you come back, it can actually speed up the ice a little bit, and so that's something that as a lead you have to make an adjustment to. And unfortunately, John Slattery not doing that there, and this is it might be another uphill climb here for Cameron Deyong, Melissa.
Yeah, not the way that John definitely wanted to start this end and Cam Deyong. So opportunity is going to try and go the other way now and throw a corner gun on the other side. But great point, John, about that sixth end, the all-important sixth end. I think if we see any shots that are missed kind of consistently, it is that first lead stone or second lead stone when you're trying to throw up the guard because the ice is just smooth and it's slick and it just seems that little tiny bit faster, and we do see rocks maybe go a little deeper than expected.
So John makes a nice adjustment there and gets the corner guard up, but of course Sean will be able to bring another one into the house to sit three. As I said earlier in the game, Melissa, these sorts of events cannot happen without a great local organizing committee and also local sponsorship. And of course, we have our provincial sponsors here at Curl BC, but anytime these events happen in a city, we have some local sponsors as well. So I'm going to be shouting out, a couple each game, and the first two I want to shout out: Valley First Credit Union and Fresh Street Market in Kamloops. Two great supporters of this tournament, and we appreciate them doing so. And it looks like maybe Steve Kopp picked up a Red Bull from Fresh Street Market and drank it all in the fifth end break as he puts that one through the house.
Yeah, that one, you know, I want to say it wasn't even close, and I'm not trying to be harsh, but it wasn't even close. And seems to be making a lot of shots so far this game, and that's just a little bit of a surprise to send that one right through the rings.
Well, as we said, Melissa, it does speed up a little bit. And the times that we've gotten so far, it seems like the ice is quick to begin with. So if the ice is already quick and then it's getting even a little bit quicker after the after the fifth end break, then, that can definitely affect the way the curlers throw. So that's maybe where Steve got caught up. But Giel still in pretty good position here. Matt Tolley making a nice come around, but Steve Kopf will be able to get rid of this corner guard here.
I like the way Cameron is calling this game, or this end, pardon me, with that early mistake by, well, that's a plan B, but that's a good outcome. But the way he was calling the game, with that early miss by your lead, it's hard to try and keep your momentum going. But two great shots back to back from Team Deyong, and it's not about worrying about those two redstones right now. It's trying to set things up to try and get your deuce back. You're down 3 in the 6th end, 5 to go, obviously, but trying to climb back in here by trying to get a deuce on the board.
Yeah, totally. That's just the main focus here, obviously. You want to make sure you get that 2. Get that 2
Oh
back
boy.
and keep yourself in the game. And Tolly's going to need this one to slow down a little bit here. And it will
Yikes.
not. Sean tried his best to slow it down, but he wasn't able to, so...
Look at him. He's just making sure his shoulder's
Yeah,
okay
exactly.
there.
I know, he couldn't even handle sweeping it from the tee line to the back 12. It's bugging him, but Sean's a career skip, and he sweeps like one. We'll put it that way. But doesn't matter when you can make all the shots, So, but and he got the job done. Gets that rock out, and
He
now
sure
it's
did.
Really good opportunity here for Giel to force Deyong here. Nice shot from Brad Wood, but you don't want to lose that one, and they do. And now, Melissa, I don't know if you visited the ticket booth, but we might be headed to blank still here.
I have faith that we're not there yet. We're not there yet. Only because I saw Cam call the shot, so I knew he wasn't going to hit that one yet. So I was kind of cheating. But in fairness,
that's okay. I don't mind this call.
Yeah, and I don't either. And in fairness, John, you want to, we're in the 6th end of a game. I understand it's the first game of the provincial championship, and whether it's nerves or whether it's just a trying to get a little bit more read of the ice or whatever. The all important thing is to understand the draw weight, and draw weight is very, very consistent. And I'm sure, and I'm maybe going out on a limb and I'm making an assumption here, but I'm sure it was good last night during practice. I know it would have been good this morning during pre-game practice, or pre-event practice, pardon me, and then again during pre-game practice. So lots of opportunity for these teams to get their draw weight and trying to figure it out. And usually, even if it's changed a bit, it's only ever changing by maybe a second and a half. So a little surprising to see the challenges that both teams have had with the draw weight, but I would expect that will change, anytime, if not this game, but definitely heading into the next game.
So Andrew looking to replace that corner guard.
It's funny, John, there's a bandmate of Andrew's in the chat who said he misses his hair, but I can tell Cameron from the chat that we do not miss his hair. We like his hair just the way it is, and I'll speak for his wife as well.
Yeah, it's the classic, who do we care about more, our wife or our bandmate? And
That's
I think
right.
if I'm Andrew, the answer to that question's pretty obvious, but
Absolutely. So interesting call there from Cameron Deyong. I mean, there's not a lot of rocks left here, and they did throw up the corner guard just trying to see, if Sean with 2 rocks left ever ignored this, he could have played the tap on his redstone for sure. But trying to play it safe with a 3-point lead, get rid of the blue guard. And really, there won't be a lot of options here for Deyong to get his deuce, and he'll probably now have to book his ticket.
Well, Sean just maybe deciding if he wants to maybe bring the play into the house. I kind of thought the same with that guard not being a true corner guard. It's not exactly where you'd want a corner guard. It's a little closer to the center. I almost wondered if Sean would come up and maybe tap his red up. But, you're up 3 and you're in control of the game. I don't mind maybe delaying it by another end here if you're Sean. And that is what they decide to do. So, yeah, as you said, Melissa, I fully expect that Cameron will chase the one in the house if Sean makes this peel, which he does. It's not really a great option here for Cam unless he wants to try to draw around the red one. Okay, and maybe he does.
Wow. I don't want this to sound the wrong way, John, but I feel like I haven't watched curling in a long time because I've been very wrong on a couple of the strategy calls here.
No, I mean, I said the same thing too. I mean, I
Yeah,
think,
no,
Melissa, is this maybe just a case of Deyong? You know, you're maybe, you know, you struggled a little bit. You're not getting the end set up the way you want to. Is this maybe just a case of you're maybe trying to create a little bit of your own luck here?
I agree. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if he makes a perfect come around the redstone, you're forcing Sean Giel to have to run his own redstone back, and if he ever misses it, then you've got your two right back. So, you know, it's, I guess, no harm, no foul, but if you don't make it perfect and they're lying to and there's no double, then you're being forced, and that's definitely not what you want to do here in the sixth then. So just trying to maybe take a little bit of a risk and try and get something out of this, but this has to curl. You have to get this half buried at least and not leave it open for Sean Giel.
I think he will be able to get to that. Yeah, you can see there. You can see about 75% of it. Looks like he might just be trying to pick it. I'd almost be tempted to try and stick around here and force Deyong.
I would agree with you.
And who
Do you
knows,
ever
maybe he
force
is
them?
playing a bit of control, but it's quite a bit of weight, so I do think he is just trying to pick it out here.
I think so. Yeah, that's a lot of weight. Guess he'd be happy with the blank as well. I mean, for Team Giel, definitely in control right now.
Yeah, it's just interesting. It didn't seem like that difficult of a shot to come around with maybe board weight and lie too. So interesting call from Sean, but as we say, sometimes when you're in control, it just feels good to keep the foot down on the gas pedal. And this also is a chance for Sean to keep hammer in the, or potentially give himself a chance to get hammer in the even ends. So that could also be maybe a bit of an eye to the scoreboard there as well. In any event, blank attempt here for Cameron Deyong in the sixth, trailing Giel by 3. And he makes no mistake, so we'll put another couple zeros up on the board. It's a blank end here in the sixth, so Sean Giel will maintain a 4-1 lead, but Cameron Deyong will have the hammer when we come back. You're watching the BC Men's Provincials live on Curl BC's YouTube. And we are back. You're watching Curl BC's continuing coverage of the BC Men's Provincial Championship. This is the opening draw, draw number 1. John Cullen alongside Melissa Saligo. As we're watching the opening game here between Team Giel and Team Deyong. And it's been all one-way traffic so far, as Cameron Deyong has not really been able to get too much mojo going here. Sean Giel has the lead 4-1.
Just a bit of a miss there, actually, from Team Giel, and just coming up short. I think Andrew looking to have that one in the rings for sure with that 3-point lead, as you just mentioned.
Yeah, absolutely. A little surprised maybe that Deyong didn't try to guard it, because I think we might see Giel peel it potentially. And this looks like it might be a little heavy again from John Slattery. They need this one to stop. And it will, just in time. Well, it looked like Sean thought about it. He was going out there to peel it and changed his mind halfway. He got the car halfway home and then turned around. So Andrew Bolesky will come around the one he just threw, which I think if you're Deyong, you probably prefer this to them peeling their own, even if Andrew makes this one good.
I would agree. More rocks in play, the better, obviously, for Team Jong right now. Really doesn't want this behind the tee line.
And it'll slide just a little deep, so a little bit of room here for John Slattery to come on top of that red one.
That's the one spot, I think, John, that you, as a lead, you definitely don't want a rock ever to end up, and that's just behind the tee line, especially if it's just back button. So great chance here for John Slattery now. This is a small door open that you really want to take advantage of. And I think he's going to come up light again.
Unfortunately, this has been the story of the game so far for Cam Deyong. It's not that they haven't had their opportunities, and they just have not been able to capitalize.
Yeah, they're just really struggling, I think, mostly with draw weight. Just either a little light or a little bit heavy. And that makes it very, very difficult to try and enforce your game plan, your in plan.
Absolutely. And first game of a championship, you do see that sometimes. You just maybe don't quite have the weight you were hoping to have. And that's a really nice shot from Steve Kopf.
What a fantastic shot. Wow.
And this is where you don't necessarily want to be if you're Deyong, chasing with hammer. So Matt Tolley just playing board weight, I think, here, trying to spill both the shooter and the blue into the house, or at least closer to the house. And that's a nice shot from Matt Tolley.
Yeah, trying to get that to bounce more of an angle, obviously behind the corner guards, but that was difficult, but ended up being a pretty good shot. Obviously wide open for Giel. About 2 corner guards now.
Yeah, Steve will be hoping to make the roll here. You don't want to give Deyong the opportunity to make it.
Nice
That's
shot
a really nice shot from Steve. Is there an echo in here or what? We were both just so pleased with Steve's work. But yeah, fantastic shot, buried behind those corner guards, and it's Sean Giel lying 3 without hammer. Matt Tolley would love to get a roll here. Double's great, but roll is better. And he'll get that roll, so pretty good. I think Sean will have the chance to get at it. Oh yeah, it's almost fully wide open. But still a good shot for Matt Tolley. Gets those rocks off the center and brings play to that corner guard.
Yeah, definitely a good shot by Matt, and I'm wondering if they actually overswept it a bit. I think they were trying to roll right on top of that red stone instead of push it, because it is wide open, obviously, for Brad Wood, but nonetheless, a good shot.
Yeah, I almost wonder if they could have played a little less weight too, Melissa. It seemed like the weight they were playing was a little more focused on the double rather than the roll, and I think the roll was probably more important there. And Brad Wood will make no mistake, so it's once again Sean Giel lying 3 without hammer.
Lots of work to be done here by Team Deyong to try and somehow manufacture a deuce, but most importantly, not give up any more Giel points. So hit and roll here by Andrew Kamloops.
So again, looking for a roll here.
Playing a plan B. Nice shot.
Yeah, that's pretty good plan B. It's probably a good thing Sean's not mic'd up right now. Might be hearing a few things under his breath.
With the scoreboard
so
the way it is,
looking to get rid of both of these. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. It's okay. We'll figure it out. Yeah, Brad Wood trying to get rid of both here. Just peel them both out. Or not.
Ooh, you can hear me taking a deep inhale there. That was that was not good for Brad Wood there. So tricky. So now Deyong is all of a sudden lying shot and with a chance to put another one buried behind the corner guard. Huge miss from Brad Wood, and we haven't really seen him miss this game, Melissa. So another chance for Deyong to capitalize.
So Andrew's been really struggling with his draw weight here, so working hard. The brusher's working hard. Uh-oh. And this one's just not even close. I'm not sure what's going on there.
You know what? I'll say it. He should bring the hair back. I think he's going to have to grow it out. That was probably the key to his draw weight, I guess. Because, yeah, like you said, just not even giving the sweepers a chance on that one. And
no, not
again,
at all.
It's, yeah, just hasn't been able to lock into that draw weight. And so this will be a chance for Sean to hit and lie wide open, and that would certainly force Deyong to one in an odd end. And as we get closer to that end number 10, that's not the place you want to be if you're Cam Deyong and his team from Victoria and Penticton.
And that really has been the story, John, is it's simply, you know, there have been a few odd misses by Team Giel. They've been playing great. And anytime a door is open, Team Deyong just can't capitalize right now on those misses. And so unfortunately for them, really behind the 8 ball here in the 7th end.
So there might be a slight glimmer of hope here. Sean was hoping to roll that out to the wings and wasn't able to. So Cameron Deyong will have the chance here to roll for a shot. And I would say, Melissa, if he gets it behind those corner guards, he still would look pretty good for 2.
I would agree. This is a big, big shot for Cam.
So first stone here for Cameron Deyong. A great opportunity to potentially put himself in a position to score 2.
There it
And he
is.
makes a beauty. That's the shot they needed. Really nice roll from Cam Deyong, and now all of a sudden a 2 is back in play.
What a great shot. There's a good look at it. He just threw absolutely perfect weight, and the little help with some curl makes an absolutely perfect roll. Nicely done. This may be what they call the skip's deuce, depending on what Sean Giel has to say.
Big shot here for Sean. Needs to get around these corner guards and freeze that blue one. Final stone here in the 7th. Doesn't even need to freeze it, just needs to be shot around this corner guard. His draws have been on point so far. Can he do it again?
Got some room. Oh, this looks
Set
good.
to curl and die. Very nice shot from Sean Giel.
Wow. He's going
So
to make Cam
here is
earn his keep here.
Cam can, yes, exactly. If he can get inside it.
So it looks like it maybe, I don't know, about backline weight perhaps, John. Just they need enough or soft enough weight that they can curl to the face of that red stone and just pounce it back to the back 12 foot. So very, very difficult shot here, but I'd say back 12, maybe back 12 weight.
Yeah, it looked like he was calling back 12, just through. And slowly remind us a little bit of the Sean Giel shot for 2. It's to the same side of the ice, and in much the same way that Sean had to be perfectly precise, Cam does as well. This is going to be one where he's going to need to get the line and the weight absolutely perfect to get his deuce. So here we go. Final stone, 7th end. Cam Deyong.
Important here for the front end to manage the stone, make sure they let the Andrew know in the house what the weight is doing. And this has got to be close because they're on and off it.
Will it spill
so
far enough?
Close.
It will not. So great chance for Cameron Deyong. Maybe just threw a little bit more weight than he was hoping to. And unfortunately can't get the red to move far enough. But it is a score of 1. So Cameron Deyong closes the gap. But it'll be Sean Giel leading 4-2 with the hammer when we come back. You're watching the BC Men's Provincial Curling Championships. Hello, folks, and welcome back to the continuing coverage of the opening draw of the BC Men's Provincial Curling Championship. John Cullen alongside Melissa Saligo. And Melissa, again, the last rock there for Cameron Deyong, sort of an encapsulation of their entire game so far. A shot for 2 that he just barely misses. And now you have to say Sean Giel is in control.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that, John. You know, They again, Team Deyong having their opportunities and quite a few opportunities, but Cam making an absolute pistol on his first one, setting himself up for a potential deuce. Sean Giel says no way, makes a really great shot, and Cam Deyong's last one, line was really great, and I think he was looking for back 12 weight, and because we saw the way that it hit and it rolled, if you threw another 2-3 feet, he probably would have got that out for his second point. But you have to be careful because he had to throw enough weight to allow for the curl. So really difficult shot, really good try, but unfortunately only puts one on the board. And as you say, Team Giel up two with hammer in that all important eighth end, in complete control of this game.
Yeah, I think we said, the Deyong shot on his last, just the weight had to be precise. He either had to be a little bit lighter so that it would curl past the guard, or as you say, be a little bit heavier so that red one rolls out of the house. And unfortunately just got caught in between the two. So it's been that kind of game for Deyong so far, but of course it's certainly not over. As we said, they've had their chances, and I think they'll be looking to steal here. That'll be big for them here in this eighth end. I would not be surprised to see them sell out a little bit for the steal here, Melissa.
I would think so, and you can see that by the two center guards that have gone up. Unfortunately for those center guards, they are very, very close together, so it will give Team Giel an opportunity to peel when the time comes. But right now, it's you see Sean not really hesitating. He put his first one behind the first corner or center guard, pardon me. This one he definitely wanted in the rings as well. He did not want to leave another center guard, so a little bit of a mistake there by Andrew Bolesky.
Yeah, this might open the door here for Deyong. See if Matt Tolley can capitalize here. And Melissa, we got a nice shout out. John Rennie sent me a message. Great curler, now living in Alberta, but originally from New Brunswick. His parents are actually watching this game from New Brunswick and said that they were enjoying the game and our commentary. So I wanted to give a shout out to the Rennies watching at home in New Brunswick. It speaks to the sort of the nationality of our game. I know obviously we've got the Alberta Brier going on right now, and a lot of other, I think Saskatchewan gets started this week too with their ladies provincials. There's obviously going to be a lot of curling going on over the next couple weeks, and it's always great to know that even over here in BC, we're getting an audience from coast to coast. So thanks everybody for tuning in and watching this game with us.
So it's cleanup time here for Steve Koff. He wants to really try and clean up that center line a bit, especially with that team redstone coming up short. So if he can get rid of both of these blue ones, or try and get some stuff off the center line and open things up a little bit for Team Giel. Just gets the one though.
So another opportunity here for Cam Deyong.
And we always say, John, you always look at those last important three ends, right? If you have hammer in the eighth end, you say that they have your two hammers to your one. So it's really important here to try and score in the eighth end if you're Team Giel. Even if you get one, it's not the greatest. You obviously want two, but if you get one, you're up three without going into 9. And then if they do score, you have hammer in 10. So it's all how you manufacture, you figure out how you want to play those last three ends of a game.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if before the game you get told that you're up 2 with hammer playing 8, you're going to feel pretty good about how you've manufactured the scoreboard to that point.
I agree.
And that's probably why we're seeing Sean so aggressively pursue this cleanup effort in front of the house. As you say, Melissa, I'm sure he's totally fine with scoring 1 here.
Kind of an interesting scenario here, John, with that center guard protecting the red one, and Cam just indicating for us that I think it's shot. But I think for Team Deyong, they pretty much have to throw another guard, I would imagine. You don't want to bring the play into the rings too soon.
Yeah, I'd imagine you'd be trying to delay the end a bit here.
Mm-hmm. Of just sneaking
Looks
a
like
peek
they are
over
coming into the
at
house
the.
here.
Oh wow! Just sneaking a
They were
peek
saying
at
back
the
four.
score. Sorry, John.
No, that's okay. Go ahead.
Just Team Jonice with that. I think they had a 5-0 lead. They're now up 5-4. So Team Dangerfield just kind of getting back into that game.
Yeah, they're chipping away. We've got another tie game between Josh Kennelly and Jeff Richard. They're at 4-4, and Paul Cheka and the Islanders maintaining a big lead over Mitchell Kapitko from the home club here in Kamloops. They're up 8-3. And of course, if you want to watch any of the games during the BC Championship, we are streaming them all on Curl BC's Facebook page. Of course, we'll only have one draw that has commentary and multiple camera angles. That's the one you're watching right now. But if you're wanting to follow along from home, maybe you're supporting a friend or a family member or anything, we have all the games being streamed over on the Curl BC Facebook page. I don't think they were planning on that.
I don't think so either. I mean, I guess one advantage is they cleaned up the center line. However, they got rid of their shot stone that was top 4. So a bit of advantage now here for Team Deyong. A little bit of an opening. Giel obviously with the hammer here. He wants to be sure that he has a way into that 4-foot. So regardless of where it happens with this blue stone, I'm pretty sure that they're going to try and eliminate and clean up so that he has access to the 4-foot on his last shot.
It's got to get over the hog line.
Wow. Yikes. Does
Just
its
got
job,
it there.
though, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
I really like this call. Sean's just indicated throwing about T-line weight, maybe a little bit more, and trying to split his red stone that's just blocking that one that's in the 4-foot, the Jong stone. And that way with hammer, you know, Cameron's going to have to make a decision now. He really doesn't want to give up more than one, obviously. But if you can split the red one in, you'll be lying second and third. And then it's up to Cameron to decide what he wants to do. Is he going to try and hit his way out of it, or is he just going to try and guard for his life and try and steal?
Yeah, I mean, I think you gotta, if you're Deyong, you gotta kind of do everything you can to steal here. But we'll see where this one ends up. Doesn't quite get the split they were hoping for, but does get that red one in there for second shot. Speaking of Dangerfield and Jonice, we'll be watching one of those teams in action tonight. We'll be back live on Curl BC's YouTube page as the winner of Dangerfield and Jonice will be going up against the number 2 seed in the tournament, Sebastian Robillard. Of course, he was the BC mixed champion this year and has had a great year on tour to put himself in the 2nd position, so that should be a great game tonight. There'll once again be myself and Melissa on the call on Curl BC's YouTube page. So make sure you join us for that. That'll be at 7 p.m. Pacific.
John, did you see the call here by any chance?
Yeah, I think they're just trying to come in, sort of push this blue one into the forefoot and sit this blue one on top of it. So kind of just come in off the inside of that red one, I believe. Sort of a chance to try to lie two, I think, in forefoot is what they're going for.
Don't want to push it too far open.
No. No, I think they were hoping to get a little bit more inside there.
So Team Geall with a 2-point lead here and the hammer. It looks like they are second shot. Trying desperately now to figure out a way to score here with 2 rocks remaining.
Yeah, unfortunately, Cam Deyong just pushed that one a little bit too much in the open, and Sean could lie two here if he makes this right. Up two with hammer and a chance to lie two here for Sean. It's a big shot.
Nice weight by Sean Giel and makes no mistake. Fabulous shot.
Very nice shot from Sean. So he does indeed lie two, up two here, playing the eighth. And it's a tricky situation for Deyong because there's not really a great roll for him, Melissa. If he just rolls dead behind, Sean will have that red raise. And if he rolls too far, then of course Sean just has a draw. So this is going to be interesting to see. He's got I think he's maybe almost a Christmas tree behind that pile, maybe? I'm not sure.
That's what I'm wondering as well. I think it's better to roll a little bit too far, like not directly behind that red guard, and give him the draw for one. If you don't roll far enough and he does have that run, that could potentially be for two. So this is really key how far they roll here. Obviously you want to be shot rock at the end of this, but trying to roll as far as you can while still being shot.
So here we go. Final stone for Cameron Deyong, and it's a big one. Facing two, down two, needs to make a hit and roll here. Sweepers picked it up early. Do they have it?
Nice.
And that's a pretty good spot from Cameron Deyong. Nice shot.
Really nice shot. Nice weight.
Yeah, as you said, Melissa, you get a good view here. If he had over-rolled a little bit, that makes this shot a lot tougher for Sean, but he's still forced to make a run back for his two, so nice shot from Deyong there. Final stone, Sean Giel looking for a quiet run back for two.
Trying to hold it here. It looks like it might have over-curled.
It did. So a fantastic shot from Cameron Deyong on his last. Bails out his team, and they will take a big steal in the eighth end. Sean Giel will have the lead and the hammer when we come back. They're up 4-3. You're watching continuing coverage of the Curl BC Men's Provincial Championship live on YouTube. Welcome back to continuing coverage of the BC Men's Provincial Curling Championships. We're watching live on Curl BC's YouTube page. John Cullen alongside Melissa Saligo. This is opening draw action. It's a triple knockout here. The winner of this game moves on to play Tyler Tardy this evening. And up until this point, it had been all one-way traffic for Sean Giel, but a big steal for Cameron Deyong in the 8th end. Now Melissa maybe might see the tables turn a little bit here, as that was a really well played end by Deyong and a great final shot to seal the steal.
Yeah, that was a fantastic shot by Cam, but unfortunately for this end, you see the blue one just being removed by Team Giel because that lead first stone slipping into the rings rather than the high center guard. So really changes the way that this end was hoping to develop for, similar to the last end. Obviously, John Slattery just a little heavy on his first.
Yeah, it's one thing, I'm not going to belabor the point that I played lead my entire career, but it's definitely,
Yes,
well, okay, yeah, I probably am. It's for the culture, Melissa, but
absolutely.
It is, I think for leads, the first game is always a struggle in an event because you know that you got to dial into draw weight extremely fast. Of course, everyone else does too, but in order to get the end set up and to run the game the way your team wants to run it, you really feel like, okay, we're coming into a big championship. I got to get dialed in right away. And it's not always easy to do. And so I feel for John a little bit. He just hasn't quite been there on his draws, particularly his guards. He's, been flirting with putting them in the house and has put a couple in the house. And I know how that feels. It's definitely not a position that you want to be in, but I think you try and build as the event goes on, and hopefully this will help him get dialed in for the rest of the week, because as we say, it's been a bit of a struggle for him so far, and this has allowed Giel to get set up again here in the 9th.
Are you finished talking about leads now, or sorry?
Okay.
Oh,
Wow.
sorry,
All
Johnny.
right.
I'm sorry. I know it's only game 1. I apologize.
No. You can, no, that's, I mean, you did the same thing in Penticton. I think you said the exact same thing. Oh, it's only game 1. I'll calm down. And then you never calm down. So it wouldn't be the same if you weren't roasting me a little bit. So it's okay.
That's
I can handle
true.
it.
All right. Good to know. So with
A nice
that rock
shot
coming
here from Matt
deep,
Tolley.
yeah, and I think what happened there, John, is with that rock coming deep by Andrew Bolesky, is instead of having to throw a second guard, they actually decided to come in and use that one as backing. But for Cam, he can't really afford to give 2 here. He can afford to give 1. A steal, he doesn't have to maybe go as desperately for the steal if he can force his opposition to take a single. So really good management of deciding where to put the rocks and how to use your opposition stones to the best of your ability.
Yeah, I think if you're Deyong, you would still love to steal here, obviously. If you force Giel to 1 and then you get 2 in the 10th, and you're playing the extra end without hammer. And of course, as we know, fortune favors the brave in the extra end. Usually if you have the hammer, you win about 80% of the time. So I'm sure Deyong would be aware of that and would ideally like to steal here and then steal in the 10th. But of course, as we've seen too with the 5 rock rule, threes are a lot easier to come by these days. So if you do give up one this end to Giel, you might like your chances to go for 3 in the 10th too.
That's very true, and it does look like Deyong's all in here, trying for the steal. This looks like it might be a tiny bit heavy. Definitely not what
Yeah,
Matt wants.
No, I almost wonder if Matt's got a mismatched pair of stones, because we've seen this a few times where his first one is right on the money and his second one comes a little heavy. I wonder if that's something they've even talked about or picked up on. It's easier when you're doing commentary and you're just watching it on video, but looks to me like he's come heavy on that second one quite a bit. So I wonder if that's a rock thing. Well, something to pay attention to, as we're going to be covering sheet D for the majority of this championship. So be something for us to keep an eye on there for sure. And so Giel will peel off that center one. And as you say, this is evidence they're really going for it here, Melissa, as they're just trying to freeze around a corner guard that's in the house. That's usually a good sign. You're going, oh, she changed the call now, but.
Not much point really here, though, John. You know, as you say, there's not much point in putting up a center guard when your opposition's line 3 and you know they're just going to go up and peel. You've got to try, with those 3 red stones in the house, try and find a way to use them, whether it's a corner freeze or hit and flop, or, you know, like a tap and flop, or as you say, even use that one at the top 12. I kind of like that shot, the first shot he called, and corner freeze to the one just that's sitting just back tee on the corner there. I mean, it looks completely difficult, but this is a great shot.
Really good shot by Andrew. Looks like, yeah, they did end up calling that. Cam changed the call to hitting the top one and then changed it again, and Andrew puts it in a perfect spot. And so now it's Giel forced to chase. And as they consider that, we do have our first final. The Islanders, Paul Cheka and his squad from Victoria, 10-3 winners over Mitchell Kapitko. So they'll move on to play Jim Cotter tonight. They'll continue on the A road. Cotter, of course, seeded 3rd this year. They played a little bit of a lighter schedule than we're used to seeing from them. So they're not, we usually normally see a number 1 beside their name, but they're a 3 this year. So that should be a great game tonight between the Islanders and Cotter. And Dean Jonis and Neil Dangerfield, Melissa, you were talking about them last end. They've had a real back and forth. Neil Dangerfield was down 5-0 and actually got it to 6-5. So they took the lead, and Dean got 2 back. So Jonis is now up 7-6. Dangerfield with the hammer. They're playing the 9th. And Josh Kennelly is up 5-4 on Jeff Richard. So they're going to take a timeout and discuss this. And sorry, I've been corrected. Cotter is 4th. Nobert is 3rd. So my apologies for that. Tough to keep track.
You can't get away with anything, John. I'm telling you.
Oh, I know.
You've been around long enough to know.
I mean, you don't have to commentate for very long before people have a lot of opinions about what you're saying. So they're just deciding what they want to do here, Melissa. What do you sort of see as the options here? It looks like they're kind of debating whether or not to freeze or whether they need to hit something. What are you seeing here?
Well, they have 3 stones left, and I think you could freeze. I'm worried that if the one that was just being pointed to right here, the one they're tapping, if you tap that one, you could potentially be leaving a double. Well, you kind of need that backing. You still have 3 rocks, so if you freeze it right now, and maybe a little bit of an angle freeze on the center line side, I don't like moving it, to be honest. I think you want to leave it right there. And just see what Sean does. He's going to try and make some rocks disappear, I'm sure, but you still have the one that's sitting back 4 as well if you need to play it on your next. That blue one right now is safe. It's not going anywhere. I know you're sitting only 3rd shot, but I would be tempted. I mean, it's really hard to play that kind of tap and roll. I would maybe look at doing that if it was the skip's first stone. I could really like the freeze on the one that's just on the left there that Matt just hit. But I might be outruled
Yeah, I
here. We'll
think if
see.
you're well, I mean, I sort of agree too. It's always that delicate balance, right? Sometimes you freeze and you don't want to freeze too late, right? So it's the kind of that decision of, if you keep freezing, we keep leaving these reds around, does that end up in a scenario where, they make a hit and it's for a bundle and it's game over? So I'm sure that's mostly what they're talking about. But I agree with you. I mean, I think a freeze or just even a small tap back, all the red rocks are behind the tee line. So if you
I
can stay
agree.
in front of them, that's a good situation to be in.
The only thing you really can't do here, John, is leave your blue that Andrew's about to throw in a position where you set up a double. And what's the best way to do that? And I think if you corner freeze on the center line side, as I mentioned, and even if you move it back a couple inches, as you're saying, I don't think there would be any double. If you're playing the tap and roll, you have to be 100% accurate and perfect in order to avoid any sort of double. So you have to kind of roll to the back of the tee line if you can. So we'll see what Andrew does here. There's a couple of options anyways for Team De Jong.
Doesn't look like Andrew
Not
likes
sure.
it.
No, I don't think he does at all. Holy, this one's really curling. Wow. I'm
I don't
not
know if that picked or
sure.
if he got it started. Yeah, but that's
We're
danger
gonna call it
zone.
a
It looks like he
pick.
thinks it might have picked. Yeah.
That's really unfortunate for Andrew. If I'm Team Giel, I'm doing anything I can probably to eliminate that blue stone. Not too worried about the other ones, but this particular one here, just try and get rid of it. Maybe roll towards the center.
Yeah, I don't think you need to get too cute here.
No, no, for sure. Things you mentioned, John, is everything's pretty much behind the tee line that we'll be using or playing to right now. For Team Giel, obviously, would love to score 2 here, but if they score 1, that's okay too. Just figuring out a interesting call here. That it looks like he's going to corner freeze it. Hmm. I think that's what he
Really going
indicated.
for it.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah,
Wow.
no, you're right. Could be, like we said, that maybe he's just concerned that all of his rocks are behind the tee line. So if you get this one maybe above the tee line, then you're feeling okay. But yeah, I don't know. I agree. A little interesting. But if you make it, hey, it's a great shot.
Yeah, and I guess if you're lie 3 after this, you've accomplished what you wanted to, whether you hit and stick in lie 3 or whether you freeze in lie 3. This seems a little bit more of a higher degree of difficulty, but
Yeah, this one's really curling.
yeah, just similar to the one that was just thrown there by Andrew.
Yeah, like we say, interesting call. I think if you make it, it's great, but probably you hit in lie 3 with hammer, or even lie 4, I guess, depending on where it ended up. That seemed like the shot to me, but in any case, it'll now be another opportunity for Deyong to maybe get himself in a position to make a little backdoor steal here.
So you saw the indication there. I think if they can come, well, if they come to the nose or just ever so slightly on the center line side, and freeze to it that way. They don't want to corner freeze it too much because I think that would give Team Giel an out by having the ability to throw a high hard one and make rocks spill. But you also don't want to hit and roll too far to the center, obviously, because then it's pretty much just a pick. So it's a really, really difficult shot trying to put this in an absolutely perfect position and trying to be shot rock at the end of it. So you just see where Andrew's broom is. That's where you want it right there, just ever so slightly nose and ever so slightly on the center line side.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's sort of the position that Deyong's put themselves in. They've got to make the perfect shot at this point. So that's going to be the ticket here for them. So first stone here for Cameron Deyong in the 9th end, trying to make a perfect freeze.
We saw the previous 2 rocks curl a ton here once it got about halfway down the sheet, and so this one looks a little better on the line for sure. Try not to over curl it, but gotta be there for shot stone, and it's gonna come up light.
Yeah, even second shot wouldn't have been the worst scenario there, but now it's Sean Giel lying 2. Yeah, now if you're Sean, you just go, okay, well, what do we even do? What do we even do here?
That's right. I mean, I saw Brad Wood indicate maybe hitting that blue stone, but I really don't think that's of any value at the moment. The blue on that 3rd shot. I'm wondering if you just half tuck it, John, around the blue one just thrown by Cam Deyong. Or top 4 even, full on center line. What can they do? I guess they could tap their blue one. Yeah, maybe just half tuck.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
Right.
Because I think no
right
matter
there.
if
That's
you do
I'm
that,
thinking.
no matter what Deyong does, I don't know that Deyong can get it in a spot where it's a guaranteed steal.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like Brad indicated, even if you come up a little short, it's not the worst thing ever.
Yeah, I agree. I like that right there. Just take away that tap if you know, take that tap away from Cam. Cam's not going to have a ton of options here on his last one for sure, so.
No, he would pretty much have to make a dead nose freeze on the one that's back 4 on the center line. And even then, you may not be shot. And if you're not dead nose, then you're in huge trouble. So, and obviously, if Sean puts it in a spot where it's maybe just a piece tucked, you may not even be able to get around to that back one either. So, so yeah, I like that spot. I mean, they seem to have zeroed in on it. So, obviously, you were on the right track immediately, Melissa, and that seems to be what Sean Giel is going to do here.
And I like what you said, John, about where Brad was indicating. You know, obviously you want to be around it first. That's shot number 1. But number 2, the tolerance here is just ever so, you know, a couple feet light. Half cornering that blue stone isn't the end of the world, but it would give Jong a shot around those 2 staggers. But at least it, you know, you don't want to go deep. You can't go behind the tee line, obviously. That's the number 1 thing you cannot do.
First stone here for Sean Giel in the 9th, up 1 with hammer and lying 2. Trying to put a cap on this end and possibly the game.
Can't leave this too
well
light.
Short.
Wow. Yeah. Got to go as far as you can here, but yeah, that's about 5 feet light for sure.
Yeah, so Deyong's going to have some options here. He'll have that dead nose freeze on the one in the back house, or he'll have that tap available to him, or he could just even kind of do the same shot, I guess. Yeah, use that one that they just threw in the top 12 as sort of a guard. Yeah, that's the best shot.
Definitely. Yeah, I like this a lot.
Yeah, Sean would have actually been better off not even throwing than putting that rock there.
That's true, unfortunately.
So it does
It
give the
has given
opportunity to
Cam.
Cam Deyong here. So final stone, down 1, facing 2. But Cameron Deyong could put this in a spot that will make Sean Giel have to make a pretty tough one. Huge shot here.
You heard Matt saying weight is good. It's all about the line here.
Might be a bit heavy.
Oh, I think so.
It's a lot
Maybe.
heavy.
Wow, to the back one. That was
So
a
just
chance open for Cam there that unfortunately just a few feet heavy.
yeah, there's been a few shots that have sort of been the story of the game, and that was another one there where Team Deyong just not able to find their draw weight really up and down the lineup, and Cam just couldn't find it there. And so now Sean will have a chance to come down and just move this blue one a few feet, and he'll score 2 and take a commanding 3-point lead into the 10th. So final stone, Sean Giel.
You could hear the weight call, back 8. That's perfect weight.
Yeah, don't need to move this very far. Sweepers on it all the way. Can they move it far enough? Can they move it far enough?
No.
They do not. So, wow, they thought it was back 8, but like we've seen, Melissa, sometimes the rocks throw on the brakes, and that one did too. So, Sean Giel with a pretty easy shot for 2, comes up a little bit light. He'll only get 1, and so the lights are still on for Cam Deyong. He'll be without hammer, down 2, playing 10, but they're still in it. You're watching the BC Men's Provincial Curling Championships. We'll be back after this. All right, folks, here we go. 10th end action here at the opening draw of the BC Men's Provincial Curling Championships. Sean Giel and Cameron Deyong locking horns here. Giel has been the pace setter, but Deyong will have a chance here in the 10th, down 2 with hammer. John Cullen alongside Melissa Saligo. And Melissa, this has been, for both teams, sort of a story of missed opportunities. Cameron Deyong has missed opportunities to keep this game close, and Sean Giel's missed some opportunities to put the game away.
Oh, well said, John. That's exactly what's happened. You know, the opportunities were there for Cam's team to get some points on the board, and unfortunately couldn't do that. Had a chance on his last one to put a rock in a really good position and make it very difficult for Sean to even score that end. And as it was, Sean had a, as you said, a pretty easy shot really for 2 and just couldn't make it work.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen the draw weight be a bit of a confusing proposition for the teams at times so far, and Sean Giel showing that one there as the sweepers were on it most of the way and just couldn't move that last one far enough. And so yeah, so now we're in a position where Cameron Deyong obviously would love to score 3 here and pick up the W, but Just have to make sure they keep the 2 alive and potentially get this into an extra end.
Pretty good pair there
So
by
Sean
Andrew.
Giel, yeah, throwing a guard, and that's what you see with the 5 rock rule. Normally, you wouldn't think to throw a guard in that situation, but knowing how easy it is to score 3, sometimes the best defense is a good offense with the 5 rock rule. So Andrew Brulesky throwing a nice rock there, and John Slattery will look to get another corner guard up here.
I really like that shot by Andrew, and simply because if he does throw a second corner guard, you know, and for any reason Giel caps that one again, I mean, you're up 2 points. It's hard to get your mind wrapped around the fact that you're going to be throwing potentially two center guards, but then it will take probably 2 rocks for Deyong to have to deal with that stone that is on the 4-foot.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think here the main thing with the 5 rock rule that we know is, you know, if you make all your shots with hammer, you're really likely to get 2. In fact, you're almost guaranteed to get 2 if you make all your shots in the 5 rock rule. And so as the opponent, you just want to limit the opportunity for the other team to get 3. That's obviously Giel's main concern. You can't lose the game here, and you'd have the hammer in the extra end.
That's right.
I wasn't sure if I had more to say there, but I didn't, and you correctly stopped me. So that was perfect.
Well, I gave you the 3-second pause, which I'm trying to implement for myself so that we don't keep talking over each other.
Smart.
Nice shot. Look at that. I mean, and now look, you have to think if you're Cam, you put up 2 great corner guards, but by virtue of what Sean has set up here for himself, it's going to be a little difficult for Cam now. It's going to take him a couple of shots to try and deal with that one on the top of the 4. And, you know, for Matt, I'm not sure if they're playing the straight freeze or if I think they are because I can't really see that one at all.
So just not quite for Matt Tolley, and now Sean Giel has a decision to make. Do you peel one of the corner guards? Do you try and chase this blue one in the house?
Yeah, typically, I think you'd see, you know, a team that's up 2 without the hammer, pardon me, peel a center or peel a corner guard. Oh my goodness. However, you know, that one is almost wide open, and it's in a really good spot for Team Deyong right now, and I don't think Sean is comfortable leaving it there, and I understand that, and I get this call, but this is not going to be what he wants for sure. And it's taken the other turn.
That is one hell of a plan B. Call Steve Kopp Mr. Plan B today. Gets that one in there. It is open though. Okay, I thought it was maybe a little more buried. So
I did too. I did too.
Yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, did you just perfectly bury that one in there? But yeah, pretty wild. So here we go. Big shot here for Matt Tolley. Wants to hit and certainly roll. The roll here would be huge if they can get behind that corner guard.
Number 1 job here is to make sure that bluestone stays in play. What a shot by Matt Tolley.
Fantastic shot from Tolley there. And that is almost completely buried, and now all of a sudden the 3 is in play.
And that's the chance that Sean took. By throwing those 2 center guards, he took the chance of, you know, allowing team Deyong to find a way to set themselves up for 3 here. So no choice now but to peel that corner guard and expose that one that Matt Tully just rolled in behind that corner.
Yeah, no question, and that's the risk. You know, if you want to play those center guards, it's totally fine, but you can't have a miss really, or you can't have a big miss. And this is going to double up those corners, and so a pretty good scenario here for Cam Deyong. Certainly is about as good as you could hope to be at this stage of the game. I can tell you I have another final out here. Dean Jones, after going up 5-0, and then Neil Dangerfield catching up to him, has finished the job. So it's Dean Jones with a 10-7 win over Neil Dangerfield. So we'll see Jones here on this live stream tonight against Sebastian Robillard. That'll be coming to you live at 7 p.m. Pacific time. Myself and Melissa will be back here with you. And we'll see the ladies in action tomorrow. The BC Scotties getting underway tomorrow morning.
I saw Cam make a couple of different, indications here. The initial one, I'm glad he's not doing. To be honest, he initially, thought about maybe splitting the redstone that's just outside the rings, and splitting that one over and rolling to a corner guard. I do like that, but I think now with it being third's first stone, I think it's time to, bring something into the house, try and set yourself up for the last 3 stones of this end. So what they're going to do is try and play a freeze, maybe a little freeze, and tap that redstone back a couple of inches, try and get it in a better position so that you pretty much have 2 ways in to raise your blue onto that redstone that's top 4. And I think if he makes this well, Team Giel is going to be in a heap of trouble here. Well, this one's just a bit light as well.
Yeah, they just lost it there. Looked
They
like it was
did.
pretty close. And it
Yeah,
just
I'm not sure
hooked
what
over right at
happened.
the end.
Yeah, big mistake there, unfortunately. So this is a great out here for Sean Giel. Get rid of this blue stone, even roll it towards the forefoot. You don't have to roll it towards the forefoot, but you definitely don't want to leave it there for a hit and roll for Cam. So get it out of the way, whether you hit and roll or even aggressively hit and roll. And if you roll out, so be it. Yeah, you don't want to leave it
And
there.
Brad Wood makes no mistake. Yeah, that's not an ideal spot. We'll give Deyong a chance to roll, but he's still going to have to find a way to get that red stone in the forefoot out. So I think the roll here will be the key, Melissa. Got to make sure they get underneath that pile.
Definitely, this is your one and only chance here, I think, to get a hit and roll behind that group of stones out
Tully
there.
trying
And
to make it curl.
boy,
They won't get there. And now if Sean Giel makes that roll, Cam Deyong is going to be in a real world of trouble to get to. So Sean Giel trying to get the roll here with his first. Is this going to over curl?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh my goodness, it goes right by. Sean Giel been a
Wow, I
little
think he
bit
was
light
just
on those
soft.
takeouts. Yeah. And so now
You can see
another
Sean's,
opportunity for Cam DeYoung. Yeah.
wow, not happy, that's for sure, but he was really late. So again, that door just opens ever so slightly here for Cam DeYoung and his team. I'm not sure, John, that angle isn't perfect, which is why originally on Andrew's first, they were trying to move that red one back a couple of inches to create a better angle when you play the blue onto red. But I think this might be your one and only chance to do it. I guess the other option is to raise that blue one back onto the red, just off nose. That might even be easier than the other one, to be honest.
Well, and the thing with that is if you stick that, Sean's in huge trouble. I don't think there'd
Mm-hmm.
be a double because the blue that you're hitting in would be right beside the other blue. Sean would almost have to draw around the pile for his life.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is the right call right here. Just ever so slightly high side and try and nose that red stone in behind those two red guards, and Sean Giel will be trying to find a way here not to give up three.
Well, it hasn't been the best game for Cameron DeYoung and his team, but they still might be able to squeak out a W here. If he can make this run back and stick it right there, Sean Giel's going to be in a world of trouble here. First stone, Cameron DeYoung here in the 10th.
He's close. Oh,
Oh
just under
boy.
curled. Wow.
Just needed that to move an inch more, and he's probably fine, but comes off of his own. And the look on Matt Tolley's face says it all. And so Sean just has to hit, and I think he can just nose right here, and it's going to be tough for Cam to get to.
I would think so, yeah. Nose. Don't really need to roll anywhere, to be honest. I don't think he can play a double and keep his shooter for his second point. So nose hit, I believe, here for Sean Giel.
Has to make sure he sticks it right there. And And he will, I think that their second shot. I think Deyong is second shot. I think that rolled too far.
I think you're right. Yep, I believe you're right. Is there a shot somewhere there for Cam Deyong to get that redstone out back 4? We have a look at the rocks out front here.
I mean, I would think it
Wow.
curls enough. I think it curls enough. You can just come around the pile. No, they don't seem convinced.
I would think it would be, honestly, that's what I would play. I think it looks a little easier than simply playing an angle run double and stick it. I'm not sure why
Okay,
they don't think that this is here.
I think it was because they didn't think they were shot. They didn't even look at it. They just
Oh,
assumed that Giel was
ah,
shot. And then Matt Tolley was like, "Are we shot?" And then they looked and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're
okay.
shot."
There we go.
That's
So
what the
backline
provincials will do
wait.
to teams. Sometimes you get a little bit crazy. You get yourself worked up. You get yourself worked up. And you miss the easy shot. I mean, I think there's no doubt in my mind that's the easier shot. You just play
Absolutely.
back line. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is there for 2.
So good thing Matt Tolley was there to be the voice of reason, as they now know that they have this shot for 2, but it is not easy. Cameron Deyong going to have to navigate a port and a few guards. Backline hit to tie this game up and send us to an extra. Final stone, 10th end.
Wait sounds good. They say just through, which is the weight he's looking for. It's all about the line here. Matt working super hard, has got
Matt
to
trying to
curl
make the
another
curl.
foot.
Will they move it far enough?
Oh, did he get it? I think so.
I think they did, yep. So we are going to have some
What a
bonus curling here
shot.
in the first draw of the BC Men's Curling Championship. Fantastic shot by Cam Deyong. We'll be back with the extra end right after this. And we are back. A little extra curling here in the opening draw of the BC Men's Provincial Championship. Cameron Deyong and Sean Giel all tied up at 5. John Cullen alongside Melissa Saligo here as you're watching live the action from Kamloops, BC. And Melissa, again, another, it looked like maybe another blown opportunity for Cameron Deyong as they were maybe set up for 3 there in the 10th, but in any case, they do manage to pull the 2 from the ashes and force this extra.
Well, I mean, what a shot. You know, they were set up for 3 for sure, and I think on Sean Giel's last one, to be honest, they were a little bit casual on it. They needed to roll and ensure that that was out counting that blue stone on the left-hand side there. So because it was an opportunity for Cam Deyong to throw that nice backline weight, and he made no mistake and puts that 2 on the board. So here we go, extra curling, as you say.
So we are here, the 11th end, and Andrew Bileski looking for the tick and doesn't get it. So the door is open here for John Slattery to throw up a second center guard. And he's saying it's all there.
Want to try and keep these guards as far apart as possible. You don't want to bring this one in too, but you can see Andrew trying to get it to curl. They would prefer to have it in front of each other. So it is coming a little bit tight. But nonetheless, you got your 2 guards.
You want this to be in a really good spot.
Mm-hmm.
They would have liked it a little deeper than that. We call those a winner. You know, you always like to, if you're forced into drawing with your lead second one in this situation, you want it to be top 4. You want it to be a potential winning stone that Deyong would have to chase all end. But it comes up a little short, so Matt Tolley will have the opportunity to come around everything, and perhaps he could get the winner. Although it sounds like he might be a little on the light side.
And that's such a good point, John. Like that rock of Andrews, it was so important. He tried the tick on his first and he missed it, but so important to try and bring that one as close to the 4-foot as possible. But he might have a bit of a break here, and he does with Matt Tolley's rock just ticking off that red guard. The weight was really good. It would have been in behind that red stone, which would have been, a little pressure on Sean Giel. But for Sean, I'm not sure if there's any call to make here other than peel the guards.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the way that those 2 rocks in the top of the 12-foot are staggered, you hit this in the right spot, you might get rid of everything.
Mm-hmm. I agree. So job number 1, try and get both of those 2 center guards. If you catch one in the rings, that's okay. That would be a bit of a bonus.
So big shot here from Steve Kopf, looking to clear out some of the detritus in the front of the house, and that's looking okay, but you're leaving only Deyong stones there, so it's not too bad for Deyong here.
Yeah, definitely not what I think Steve just over curling maybe by half an inch to an inch there, and gets rid of his own one that was sitting in the top 8. So another guard going up here, I believe, by Team Deyong, and they'll probably keep doing this as long as they can and just keep forcing Sean Giel to have to make peels. And then on their second to last one or last one, that's when Team Deyong will make a move. The hard part for Team Deyong is try and find where to put that rock, because you look at it where it is, you can't really put it in front of the other guard because it exposes the one in the rings. But wherever you put it, you're actually setting yourself up a little bit easier for a double. So we'll just see if Steve can make it. Or the triple.
Yeah, no problem. If you miss your
Makes
first
up
one,
for his first one.
that's a good thing to do on your second one. Yep. And
Nicely
now all of a
done.
sudden things are looking pretty rosy for Team Giel here. Great shot from Steve Kopf. And so, Melissa, you were saying in the chat, and I think this is a good point too, we got started a little late on this draw. And so we know whoever wins this game, the next draw is at 7. So that's a very quick turnaround time for the teams. So that'll be something to keep an eye on as well. Might be a bit of an advantage for Tyler Tardy playing whichever team wins this game tonight. They've had all day off, and it's always tough when you got to kind of leap from one game into another, especially when the games are 10 ends.
Yeah, it is going to be a very, very quick turnaround, and you got to, there's a lot of other sheets out there, so it's not like you can, delay this game by any means. And, obviously that's up to the officials what they decide to do, but I'm pretty sure that they will want it to start pretty close to 7 o'clock.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I would anticipate as well. And speaking of other games, we do have our third final. You maybe can hear that this is the only game out there right now. It was Jeff Richard who was victorious over Josh Kennelly. That was a close battle all the way, but Richard managing to put up 3 in the 10th end, so that's an 8-6 victory. So Jeff Richard will be moving on. So it's going to be tonight. We'll have Paul Cheka facing off against Jim Cotter. We'll have Jeff Richard against Rob Nobert. The winner of this game, as we said, will move on to face Tyler Tardy. And our feature game tonight will be Dean Jonice going up against Sebastian Robillard. That will be hopefully starting at 7. It's what we're anticipating here. So make sure you come on back to the Curl BC YouTube page. And as we said, it's going to be wall-to-wall coverage here all week. We'll have the 2 p.m. and 7 p.m. Pacific time draws both tomorrow and Thursday. And then starting Friday, we will cover the remaining draws. So that's 3 draws Friday, 3 Saturday, and 2 on Sunday. Of course, Sunday will be both the men's and the ladies' final, as the men's provincials and the BC Scotties are running concurrently all week. So you're going to get a nice mix of men's and ladies action, and Melissa and I will be here to call it all for you.
So Andrew just went down to have a quick conversation with Cam to try and determine, not a lot of places to hide a rock right now. So just trying to determine where the best spot for this rock is. Obviously, you can come around this corner guard. It would leave the house wide open for a draw. They talked about maybe just putting it out front, but I think Andrew, that's a huge, huge mistake by Andrew. Unfortunately, anywhere in the house or anywhere in the rings would have been better than that result.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Andrew's had a bit of a struggle today, particularly with draw weight, as we've said. He just hasn't seemed to been able to find his range. And certainly, yeah, this pretty much kicks the door wide open for Sean Giel here. There are now no guards in play and only one lonely blue at the side of the house. So not a lot of options here for Deyong, just praying for a miss at this point.
Just putting it on the paint here, or trying to, I think. Or a guard is okay too.
Yeah, they were trying to put it on the paint, but
Or the guard?
coming up a little
they
bit
were? Okay.
short. Yeah.
Skipper trying to peel here. Oh boy.
Well, didn't want to do that.
Did not. Did not.
Luckily, the guard was high enough that Sean will still have some options on his last one. And it's also a little bit off the center line. So even if Deyong makes this draw perfectly, Sean will still have the button and maybe a majority of the forefoot to draw to. But Sean hasn't thrown a draw in a while. So, you know, if you're Deyong, you really want to bear down and get this in the right spot. And we've seen draw weight's been tricky for just about every player on this sheet. So big shot here for Deyong.
That's a good point, John. And you know, you've highlighted a couple of things there. One is it has been tricky out there. Number two is, when is the last time that Sean threw a guard, or sorry, a draw? So I think for Cam, he really wants to get this, you know, 3/4 buried. It's okay to show them a piece. Maybe just bite the top four, I think, would probably be the best he could do in terms of where that guard is.
So final stone for Cameron Deyong, looking to issue a challenge to Sean Giel.
Brushers put their heads down and they are sweeping hard here.
Might have got a little spooked by his first one and overcooked this one a hair. So that's not really the spot they wanted to put it in, because it does give Sean some backing now. He can follow the exact path and come right down to it. Can't really fault the sweepers. They've seen a lot of light rocks, and we've also seen the rocks really grind to a halt all day, so don't really blame them for maybe getting on it a little early, but unfortunately put it in a spot where Sean will have a shot that you'd expect him to make.
You have to think all the other games are over as well, so you're not really 100% sure what was going to happen with that rock. So, you know, I think they did the best they could by leaving their brooms down and making the judgment call about halfway down. So same thing here with this shot. Sean will throw it close, and it's up to the sweepers to make sure.
Final stone here, Sean Giel, 11th end. Needs this one to count. It is heavy. This is going to need the backing. And luckily he had it. That was a rocket, but it finds its way onto the Deyong rock, and that'll be a win for Sean Giel. It was an up and down afternoon, but in the end, Sean Giel managed to ride that early lead to a victory, so they'll move on to face Tyler Tardy tonight. Fantastic game from both teams. Deyong will drop down to the B side, and so that'll leave us here, John Cullen and Melissa Saligo. There we are, our beautiful faces. It was a great game. We loved it all, and we're gonna love coming back in about an hour and a half. We're gonna have Sebastian Robillard facing off against Dean Jonis. It should be a good one. Hope you'll join us then. YouTube.com/CurlBC. For Melissa Saligo, I'm John Cullen. We'll see you later on. Bye.